sit yourself so that your sitting bones are matching the front of the block, and then as you're rolling them forward, you're collapsing half of your bum on the front of the block and half of it is on the block. So you're already able to sit upright by just using this technique, okay? Then you're crossing your legs in front of you. I tend to put one foot very close to my groin and the other one in the front of it. So it gives me a sort of pyramid pose that feels very stable. And then what you want to do, you want to work on the 3 areas of the core muscles that we utilize a lot during yoga. So you've got the 3 bandhas, which is the Mula Bandha. So this is the pelvic floor, and you're engaging that by squeezing the bum hole, sucking the belly in, which engages the Udayana Bandha, and then open the chest, tuck the chin under, and that's the Jalandhara Bandha, which is the 3rd area of the chest and the throat. And then as you're doing that, so still work on the core muscles, place your hands wherever they are comfortable on the legs, and you're starting to lengthen the breath. So it's the same length on the inhale as it is on the exhale. So you're inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Extend the spine. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then open your eyes, interlace the fingers in front of you. Push the hands away from you on the inhale. Straighten the arms, and on the exhale you're bringing your arms up towards the ceiling. Rolling the shoulders away from you, squeezing the shoulder blades together, pushing the hands away from you towards the ceiling. Suck the belly in so you're not letting your belly out. And then on the next inhale, keep your left hand up towards the ceiling. You're bringing your right hand down towards the floor. Inhale, you're lengthening the left side. Exhale, lean towards your right. And you're looking towards your left armpit. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, come back to the center. Left hand by the block, right hand up towards the ceiling. Inhale, stretch the right side. Exhale, lean towards your left, bending the left elbow, looking down towards your right armpit. And then come back into the center. Place your right hand over the left knee, left hand behind you. Inhale, suck the belly in, lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist towards your left. Chin parallel to the floor, and you're looking towards your left shoulder. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. And then come back to the center, right hand behind you, left hand over the right knee. Inhale, suck the belly in, lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist towards your right. Chin parallel to the floor, and you're looking towards your right shoulder. And then come back to the center. Get rid of the block. Place it somewhere where you can grab it easily during the class. Come on your fours. So, you're coming into a tabletop with the hands directly underneath the shoulders and the knees directly underneath the hips. Top of the feet on the mat. On the next inhale, you're looking forward, curve the back towards the floor, push the bum out, relax the belly. Exhale, you're curving the back towards the ceiling. Start pushing the bum towards your hands, so you're contracting the abdominals and you're looking down towards your knees. Inhale, look forward, curve the back towards the floor, push the bum out. Exhale, curve the back towards the ceiling, push the bum towards your hands, look down towards your knees. We're going to do it 2 more times. And then come back into a neutral position. On the next inhale, tuck your toes under. On the exhale, push the bum up towards the ceiling, looking down towards your feet. On the inhale, you're bending the right knee, transferring the weight onto the left leg. On the exhale, you're bending the left knee, transfer the weight onto the right. We're going to do it a couple of times, following the breath. So the movement is nice and long. then on the next inhale, you're looking towards your hands, bending the knees, start walking your feet towards your hands. Once you've reached the hands, keep your feet hip-width apart, grab hold of the opposite elbow, inhale, look forward, lengthen the spine, exhale, bend the knees, fold forward, let go of the head. First of all, you're trying to make sure that you're letting go of your upper part of the back and the neck. So you're really trying to point the top of the head down towards the floor. At that point, when you're feeling like you've let go, then you can start straightening the legs. So nod your head a couple of times, turn the head right and left, and then start bringing the body towards the right leg and then towards the left. And then on the next inhale, come back to the center, let go of the hands on the floor, tuck your chin under, bend the knees, and on the next exhale, you're coming up into a standing position, head last to come up. Come to the top of the mat, and we're going to work on the mountain pose as I'm explaining to you the core muscles and everything else, okay? So, bring the feet together at the top of the mat, big toes are touching. Transfer the weight so that the weight is mainly on the middle of the feet, so you're not leaning too much on the front, neither on the heels. Once you're there, you start pulling the kneecaps up, tuck your pelvis under, so you want to contract the lower pelvic area while you're doing that. So as you're tucking the pelvis under, you're feeling a slight contraction on the very lower part of your abdominals. Suck the belly in, open the chest, tuck the chin under, arms by your sides with the fingers pointing down towards the floor. You're looking straight ahead. You're working on this posture, concentrating on the core muscles. First of all, I'm basically just giving you the disclaimer, and then I'm describing the core muscles. So when participating in any exercise or exercise program, there is the possibility of physical injury. If you voluntarily engage in this class, you agree that you do so at your own risk and assume all risk of injury to yourself. Okay, so core muscles. When you talk about core muscles, most of the time people think about the abdominals. However, you need to think about a 360-degree radius really, where you've got the muscles in the front. So the six packs is called the rectus abdominis. But then you've got two other muscles, internal and external oblique, that start from the ribs and sort of come onto the front and wrap all the way around from the back to the front. So you also have, as part of the core muscles, the erector spinae, which is the muscle that runs along the spine, plus the multifidus, which is this muscle here, and the quadratus lumborum. So you've got muscles on the back, muscles on the front. The whole purpose of the core muscles is to keep stable the area between the pelvis and the rib cage, where you've got nothing in between, okay? So whereas in other parts of the body you've got joints that keep the area very stable, here in this area there's nothing to keep it together. So the only thing that can keep it together is these muscles that wrap all the way around. Now, most of the people can experience back pain, but the back pain doesn't come from back muscles, it's coming from a weakness in the front, and vice versa. You can have a lot of digestive problems with the abdomen, but it's because the muscles in the back are not very strong. So when you're doing this class today, try to focus in the whole area around here. There are going to be some exercises that activate the front, some that activate the sides, some that activate the back. So I'm going to give you exercises that work all over the area. So you try to focus on this area and try to keep it engaged. Also, it's also self-diagnosing. So as you're doing this class, if you're finding that you're having problems on certain areas, most likely you have to work on the opposite side, okay? So if you're having a lower back pain as you're doing these exercises, most likely you need to strengthen the front and vice versa, okay? If you've got any questions about that, you ask me at the end of your class, okay? So we're gonna start with the sun salutation, which is already a good way to start because it strengthens and stretches different parts of the back and the front, okay? So bring your hands in front of your chest, close your eyes, set an intention for today's practice. First of all, I want you to focus half of your attention onto the core muscles today. really keeping an eye and focusing on that area and almost reading your body. The other half of your focus should be on the breath. So really try to make the most out of this class, where you're concentrating on the breath, keeping it nice and long, and you're also concentrating on the area where we're working on today. Open your eyes. We're going to do the 3 sun salutations. The first one we're going to do together, and then we're going to go, you can do it at your own level. Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, look up at the hands, suck the belly in. Exhale, you're folding forward at the hips. Place your hands on the shin, the ankle or the mat. On the next inhale, look forward, come up a little bit, engage the core, and exhale, bend the knees, hands on the mat, step the right leg out into a lunge, left leg to meet it into a high plank. We're setting the first plank of today, so we're pushing the heels away from you, pull the kneecaps up, squeeze the glutes, suck the belly in, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale, knees to the floor. Leading with the chest, you're bringing your chest down to the floor, the elbows are rubbing by your side, top of the feet on the mat, hands underneath the shoulders. On the next inhale, come halfway up so the elbows are bent, you're looking forward, roll the shoulders away from you. Exhale, tuck your toes under, come into your hands and knees, bring the seat towards your heels and you're coming up into a downward dog. Stepping your feet forward so that you can try to bring your heels down towards the floor. You're looking down towards your feet and you're keeping your feet hip width apart, trying to bring the heels down towards the floor. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. If the legs start to tremble, you can bend the knees or you can bring the knees all the way down to the mat. Otherwise, just stay here and start stretching the back of the legs. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. You're looking down towards your feet so your neck is nice and long. On the next inhale, you're looking towards your hands, bending the knees, start walking your feet towards your hands. Once you've reached the hands, keep your feet together. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, come up a little bit, engage the core by sucking the belly in, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, and exhale, hands by your sides. Second one, if you already struggle with the level of the first one, stay to that level. Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, press through the hands, look forward, exhale, hands on the mat, add a step or jump into a high plank. Inhale, set the plank, exhale at a low plank like you did before with the knees to the floor. Otherwise, you're hovering down onto the floor and then you're pushing your body through the hands, coming up into an up dog with your straight arms, looking forward, rolling the shoulders away from you. Exhale, tuck your toes under, downward dog, adjusting the feet like you did at the first. Feet hip width apart. And now you're focusing onto the upper part of the body. Hands as wide as the shoulders, wrist in line with the top of the mat. Roll the shoulders away from you, squeeze the shoulder blades together, keeping the hands where they are. You're pushing your hands away from you, so you're trying to bring the torso towards the thighs. And this should release your upper part of the back. You can also bend the knees if you really want to focus on the upper back, pushing the hands away from you, really stretching that upper part of the back and the area in between the shoulder blades. And then on the next inhale, look towards your hands. If you want, you can step one foot in between the hands and then the other to meet it at the top of the mat. Otherwise, you're walking your feet towards the hands. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, engage the core. Bring your hands up towards the ceiling. And exhale, hands by your sides. Last one. Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Now, look up towards the ceiling. Just back bend a little bit, sucking the belly in. Exhale, you're folding forward. Hands on the mat or the shin or the ankle, letting go of the head. On the next inhale, press through the hands, look forward, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bend the knees, hands on the mat, add a step or jump into a high plank. Inhale, set the plank. Exhale, add a low plank or knees to the floor. Inhale, up dog, and exhale, down dog. Okay, set everything together. Now, what you want to do, you also want to focus on the lower part of the back. This is when we're gonna activate the core muscle again, okay? So, the tendency is as you're pushing your hands away from you, you're overarching your lower back, okay? So, tuck your pelvis under until you feel like your anal sphincter is contracted and the lower part of the abdominals are contracted. And you're staying here for the next 2 or 3 breaths. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Tilting your pelvis under until you feel that contraction on the lower part of the abdominals. And then on the next inhale, you're looking forward. This time, if you want, you can step the other foot in between the hand and then the other one to meet it. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, engage the core. Bring your hands up towards the ceiling and exhale, hands by your sides. Okay, so you need a block for the next move. So grab the block, place it on the outside of the left foot. Hands on the hips. On the next inhale, you're stepping with the right foot, 2/3 of the mat. Pointing the right toes towards the top right corner of the mat. And then on the next inhale, you're bending the front leg. You've got 3 options here. Either you're placing your left forearm just above the knee, turning the torso towards your right, bringing your arm all the way around so that the palms are facing down, or your hand goes on the block on the outside of the left foot. The right hand is on the hip, you're turning the torso towards your right, and then you're bringing your right arm all the way along so that the palms are facing down. Otherwise, you're bringing your hand directly on the mat, creating a line between your right foot and your right hand. You're either looking straight ahead or towards the ceiling or towards the right hand. Suck the belly in, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, look down towards the floor. Exhale, bring your hands parallel to the floor. Inhale, hands on the hips, and exhale, you step into the front of the mat. Swap the block onto the outside of the right foot. Hands on the hips, feet together. You're stepping with your left foot, 2/3 of the mat, turning the toes towards the top left corner of the mat. Make sure the left leg is straight. And then on the next inhale, bend the front leg, either the forearm above the knee, turning the torso towards your left, bringing your arm over, or hand on the block or directly on the mat. Again, turning the torso towards the left before you're bringing your arm all the way around. Squeeze that left shoulder blade towards the spine, looking straight ahead or towards the ceiling or towards the left hand. And then you really want to try to create a long line between the left foot and the left hand. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Turning the torso towards your left. And then on the next inhale, look down towards the floor. Exhale, bring your hands parallel to the floor. Inhale, hands on the hips, and exhale, you'll step into the front of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Put the block aside, but still reachable because we're gonna need it perhaps for the next one. So now, feet together, step with your right foot 2/3 of the mat. Both legs are straight. You're turning the toes towards the top right corner of the mat. On the next inhale, pull the kneecaps up, bring your hands parallel to the floor. We're gonna do the triangle pose. Exhale, you're leaning forward, and then you're placing your hands either on the shin or on the inside of the ankle, bringing your right arm up towards the ceiling, palms facing away from you, pulling the kneecaps up. On the inhale, you're lengthening the left side of your rib cage. On the exhale, you're turning the torso towards your right. Now, keeping your right hand where it is, you're rolling that right shoulder back so that the shoulder blade is squeezing towards the spine. So the arm doesn't come behind you, it still points up towards the ceiling, but you're squeezing the shoulder blade towards the spine. Focus on the core muscle. As you're on the inhale, you're lengthening the spine. On the exhale, you're turning the torso towards your right. Keeping your legs straight. Last breath here. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, look down towards the floor. Exhale, bring your hands parallel to the floor. Inhale, hands on the hips, and exhale, you step into the front of the mat. We're gonna do it on the other side. Feet together, you're stepping with the left foot 2/3 of the mat, turning the toes towards the top left corner of the mat. You should be able to square the hips towards me, so you need to step the left foot out a little bit if you can't do that. On the next inhale, pull the kneecaps up, straighten the legs, and bring your arms parallel to the floor. Exhale, you're leaning forward, and then you're placing your hand either on the shin or on the inside of the ankle. Left hand up towards the ceiling, palms facing away from you. You're pulling the kneecaps up. On the inhale, you're lengthening the right side of the rib cage. On the exhale, you're turning the torso towards your left, looking either straight ahead or towards your left hand. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. So you should feel that the core muscle is engaged, which is the area that is keeping your torso in a parallel position towards the floor. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, you're looking down towards the floor. Exhale, you're bringing your hands parallel to the floor. Inhale, hands on the hips, and exhale, you're stepping to the front of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay. We're gonna do a lunge, and then we're gonna do the half moon, okay? So, hands this time parallel to each other, hip width apart, okay? You're stepping with your right foot into a lunge, so you're staying on the tiptoes of the right foot, the heel is off the floor. You're trying to keep that right leg straight by pushing the heel away from you. The front leg is slightly bent. You're gonna sit in between the legs. The tendency is sometimes to lean forward, okay? So really sit in between the legs. That starts stretching the front of your hip. But now we're focusing on the core muscle. So you're bringing your hands up towards the ceiling, looking straight ahead, rolling the shoulders away from you. And now you're squeezing that right glute, sucking the belly in, and you're starting to look up towards the ceiling. So you should feel that the core muscle is engaged in the terms of your front abdominals being engaged by sucking the belly in, and that right glute is engaged. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Really suck the belly in. And then on the next inhale, you're looking forward. Place your hands on the hips and you're stepping to the front of the mat. We're gonna do it on the other side. Feet hip width apart. Hands on the hips. You're stepping with the left foot, so that there's a space between the front and the back foot. So your left foot should be slightly out and you're able to square the hips towards me. You're on the tiptoes of the left foot, keeping that left leg straight as you're pushing the heel away from you. You're bending the front leg, sitting in between the legs. And then on the next inhale, suck the belly in, squeeze that left glute, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. And then as you're feeling that the abdominals are engaged, the left glute is squeezed, you're looking up towards the ceiling. Really feel that sensation of engagement on the front of the abdominals. Keeping that left leg as straight as you can. Inhaling to the count of 5, roll the shoulders away from you. Exhaling to the count of 5. One last breath here. Inhaling to the count of 5. Squeeze the left glute. Exhaling to the count of 5. And on the next inhale, place your hands on the hip and you're stepping to the front of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. So we're going to do the half moon. You want a block. For the people that have done this class for a while, I want you to attempt to do the half moon without touching the hands onto the floor. I'm going to show you first, okay? So you've got the block onto your left hand and you're stepping with the right foot back. As you're bending the left knee, you're starting to straighten the left leg, lifting the right leg off the floor, placing the block underneath your shoulder. So there has to be a space between the hand and the front foot, because if they're too close to each other, that's when you lose balance. Now at this point, if you want, you can start taking the balance off the hand, off the block, and really balancing just on that left leg. Turn the right foot out, so you're turning the hips towards the right, bringing your right hand up towards the ceiling, and then see if you can take your hand off the block. Okay? Ooh. And then if you want, from looking down towards the floor, ooh, you're starting to look towards your right. Flex the right foot. One more breath here. And then on the next inhale, start looking down towards the floor. Bring your right hand to the hip. Bending the left leg, you're bringing your right leg down towards the floor. Giving yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay, now grab the block with your right hand. You're stepping with the left foot just slightly back. You're on the tiptoes of the left foot. As you're starting to bend the front leg, you're leaning forward and you're lifting that left leg off the floor as you're straightening the right leg. As you're leaning forward, you're placing the block directly underneath the shoulder. You're trying to lift that left leg so that it's parallel to the floor. Now turn the leg out so that one hip is stuck on top of the other. And if you want, you can bring your left hand up towards the ceiling. And if you can, see if you can, even if it is for one breath or two breaths. I'm losing balance, so I can't even attempt it. You're taking your hand off the block. See if you can keep balance by not putting any weight onto the hand. You're just balancing onto that leg. If you want, you can start looking towards your left. And then on the next inhale, start looking down towards the floor. Bring your left hand onto the hip. Start bending the right leg as you're bringing your left leg down towards the floor. And give yourself a nice little shake on your legs. Okay, so now we're going to do the balancing pose. I'm going to give you two versions of the balancing pose. There's the tree pose and there's the flamingo pose, okay? So we can all start with the tree pose and then I'll show you perhaps if you want the flamingo pose, okay? So you're placing all your weight onto your left leg, tiptoes of the right. And then start bringing your right leg off the floor, engage the left glute, and then either you're turning the leg out and you're placing the foot on the inside of the calf, or you're grabbing the foot and you're placing it on the inside of your groin, okay? Whichever works for you today. Place your hands, oh, today I've got no balance. Place your hands in front of your chest. Fix your gaze in a fixed spot in front of you. And then from there you can bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Roll the shoulders away from you, squeeze the shoulder blades together. If you want to do the other version, you're bringing your knee towards your chest, okay? With your left hand, you're grabbing the ankle, keeping the knee where it is. You're bringing your right shoulder on the inside of the right knee, extend forward, wrap it around so that you're grabbing hold of the hands behind you, and then you're folding forward. And then if you were doing the tree pose, start bringing your hands down towards the chest. Bring your hands on the hips. Don't look at me because I'm all over the place. Bring your right leg forward, extend the right leg and release it. Oh, honestly, it's like shameful today, eh? Well, it goes to show that sometimes it's not a good day for balancing, but hey, give yourself a little bit of a shake. Now, left side. So, balancing yourself onto the right leg, put all the weight onto the right, squeeze the right glute, tiptoes of the left. And then you're gonna do the tree pose or you're doing the flamingo pose. First, I'm gonna show you the tree pose. Either the foot on the inside of the calf, the knee out, or you're placing the foot on the inside of your groin. Fix your gaze in a spot in front of you, hands in front of your chest, and then you're bringing your hands up towards the ceiling, rolling the shoulders away from you, looking forward. Otherwise, if you want to do the flamingo, you're hugging that left knee as close as you can towards your chest. Keep the knee where it is by holding the ankle with your right hand. Left shoulder on the inside, extend forward, wrap it around, grab hold of the hands behind you, point the toes down, and you're folding forward. And then to come back out, you're coming back up into a standing position. Undo the arms and undo the legs. I've redeemed myself, okay? Okay. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna do a sequence of going from one position to the other. So I'm gonna show you first what we're gonna do so everybody knows what we're doing. So what you're going to do, we're coming into a plank. So just look at me first, okay? From the plank, we're gonna do the knee towards the nose. So we're bringing one leg up and we're bringing knee towards the nose, shoulders above the wrist, and we're coming back out. We're gonna do this a couple of times. And then we're bringing version 1, which is the easier one. You're bringing the knee as close as you can to the side of the mat, turning the foot over, bringing the hand up. That's the easier version, okay? So the knee is on the front as you're turning, okay? And the lower leg is on the floor. Otherwise, you're bringing the edge of the foot onto the right side of the mat, turning the right foot over, bringing your hand up towards the ceiling, okay? So everybody comes to the top of the mat. Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, look up at the hands. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, press through the hands, look forward. Exhale, hands on the mat, add a step or jump into a high plank. From here, exhale, you're coming up into a downward dog. And start walking your feet so that they're coming into the middle of the mat with the big toes touching. On the next inhale, you're lifting the left leg off the floor. Exhale, you're bringing the knee towards the nose, shoulders above the wrist. Inhale, come back out. Exhale, knee to nose, shoulders above the wrist. Inhale, come back out. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, come back out. We're coming into the rock star position. So either you're bringing your left knee towards the right wrist, lower leg down, turn the foot over, push the hands up, push the hips up. Otherwise, edge of the left foot onto the outside of the right mat, turn the right foot over, push the hips up. 3, squeeze the glutes. 2, suck the belly in. 1, and exhale, bring your hands down towards the floor, come back into a downward dog. Walk your feet a couple of times. And now we're gonna do it on the other side. So, bring the feet together into the middle of the mat, big toes are touching, lift the right leg off the floor. On the inhale, exhale, knee to nose, shoulders above the wrist. Inhale, come back out. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, come back out. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, come back out. Exhale at the edge of the foot on the outside of the knee of the mat. Or right knee on the floor, close to the left wrist. Turn the foot over, push the hips up, hand up towards the ceiling of the left hand. 3, 2, and 1, and bring your left hand down onto the mat. Turn the left foot over, come up into a downward dog, knees to the floor, come into child pose. You're sitting on your heels, your forehead is onto the floor, you're trying to sit as much as you can on your heels, so you're releasing your lower back. Arms are straight in front of you, so you can really release the front of your shoulders. And then on the next inhale, come on your fours. So again, position yourself. The knees are hip-width apart, top of the feet on the mat. The knees are directly underneath the hips. Hands directly underneath the shoulders, top of the feet on the mat. On the next inhale, you're lifting the right arm off the floor so that the arm is parallel to the floor. Now you're shifting the weight onto the right leg so that you can lift your left leg off the floor, pointing the toes down, so you're flexing the foot, squeezing that left glute. Now what you want to concentrate on is that you're sucking the belly in and you're really pushing that left leg out, so towards the ceiling. So you're really engaging the left glute, but also the front of your abdominals. 3, 2, and 1. Replace the hand and replace the left knee down onto the floor. Resettle yourself. We're gonna do it on the other side. So we're starting with the left hand off the floor. Transfer the weight onto the left leg. Lift your right leg off the floor. Point the toes towards the floor so that you're flexing the foot. Suck the belly in, squeeze that right glute. 3, 2, and 1. Bring your left hand down, bring your right knee down, and sit again into a child pose. Forehead onto the floor, bring the knees together, sitting on your heels. And then very gently start bringing your hands towards the center. As you're sitting onto your heels, you're coming up. Shift the weight either side of the feet so that you can bring your bum down onto the floor. Sitting with your legs in front of you, okay? So even in this position, we can really work on the core muscle. The staff pose, which is what we're doing now, is one of the most important one in terms of what you can do with the core muscle. So remove the flesh away from your buttock. And then if you want, you can also sit on the block if you're struggling to sit upright, okay? Point the toes up towards the ceiling. Hands either side of the buttocks with the fingers pointing towards the toes. We're really working on this core muscles being engaged. So again, you try to clench your bum hole, suck the belly in, opening the chest, tucking the chin under. You're rolling the elbows away from you, gently bending the elbows, and the elbows are pointing away from you. So the opposite direction of where the feet are. Really opening the chest. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, suck the belly in, and on the exhale, really focusing on the lower part of the abdominals. You're folding forward, keeping the lower abdominals engaged. until you feel like they're starting to go. As they start to go, then you relax the hands wherever they're comfortable on the legs, either the shin, the ankles, or you're grabbing the feet. Tuck your chin under so your neck is nice and long. And then on the next inhale, suck the belly in, re-engage the core, pulling on the hands, you're bringing the torso towards the thighs, making sure you're keeping the core muscles engaged. So you want to have your abdominals engaged, and you want to bend forward at the hips. So there's no curvature of the spine like this. The whole movement comes from the waist, okay? Inhaling to the count of 5, reconnect with the breath. Exhaling to the count of 5. Okay, and then on the next inhale, come all the way up. Place your hands a handbreadth away from the bum, with the fingers pointing towards the toes. Now you're bending the knees and you're placing your feet hip width apart. And now we're going to push the hips up, so we're coming into an inverted tabletop. On the next inhale, pushing on the feet, you're pushing the hips up. So now in this position, you're looking down towards the knees, you're squeezing the glutes, and the one muscle that keeps you upright without collapsing are the abdominals. So at this point, we're working on the abdominals. Squeeze the glutes, looking forward. 3, 2, push the hips up, and 1, you're bringing your bum down towards the floor. Position yourself into the middle of the mat. You're keeping your hands, so you're keeping your legs bent. This time you're hugging the knees to the chest, and you're trying to lift the legs off the floor so that you're balancing onto your sit bones, okay? So we're gonna do Navasana or boat pose, which again works on the front of the abdominals now. So you're placing your hands behind the knees. You're pushing the chest forward. By pushing the chest forward, you're also working on the muscles of the back, okay? So if you're collapsing here, you're only working on the abdominals. If you're pushing the chest forward, you're working at the same time on the abdominals and on the erector spine. So try to keep this position, even if you're keeping your hands behind the knees at all times. Lift the lower legs off the floor. And now your decision if you want to stay here with the hands behind the knees but pushing the chest forward, or you can release the hands. 3, 2, and 1. Grab hold of the knees, place the feet down onto the floor, and then hugging the knees towards you, you're placing your forehead onto the knees, releasing the front of your abdominals. Okay, so we're gonna do it 2 more times, yeah? You can still repeat what you've just done. If you feel that you really could feel the muscles of the back and the muscles of the abdominals working, that's as much as you want to do, okay? If you want to go further this time, as you're placing your balancing yourself onto your sitting bone, placing the hands behind the knees, try and see if you can straighten the legs. Push the chest forward. So you want to have a very small distance between the thighs and the chest. Release the hands. 3, 2, and 1. Place the feet back down onto the floor, hugging the knees towards your chest, releasing the forehead down onto the knees. Okay, last one. So this time you can repeat one of the 2 that you've just done. If you want to go further, you're grabbing hold of the big toes, balance yourself onto the sitting bones, straighten the legs, pushing your chest forward. As you're looking up towards the ceiling, you can open the legs out to the side. 3, 2, and 1. Bring the legs together, bend the knees, Hug the knees to the chest and release the forehead onto the knees. And then very gently roll yourself onto your back, releasing the back onto the floor, and then bringing the feet in front of your hips for the bridge pose, okay? So this is again a very good way of building your core muscle. Place your hands on the mat with the palms pressing down, feet hip width apart, with the heels as close as you can to the front of your hips. Big toes are slightly tucked in. On the next inhale, tuck your pelvis under. So before you're coming up, you're tucking the pelvis under and you're trying to squeeze that bum hole, okay? Squeezing the belly button towards the spine, you're pushing your hips up, squeezing the glutes. Now you can interlace the fingers behind your back, shuffling to the top of your shoulder, pushing the hips up. 3, 2, and 1. Release the hands and exhale, you're bringing your back down towards the floor, hugging the knees to the chest, rotating the knees clockwise, so you're giving yourself a massage in one direction. And now we're going to do it one more time. We're still going to do the bridge because we want to really make sure that you feel in the core. Also be aware if there's any area of the lower back or the abdomen that feels tender when you're doing this, because it's pretty much telling you where the problem is, okay? So have your feet as close as you can to the hips, big toes are slightly tucked in. Press your hands down onto the mat. On the next inhale, tuck your pelvis under, squeeze the belly button towards the spine, and then push the hips up, maintaining the same position of the pelvis. Push the hips up. You can interlace the fingers behind your back, shuffling to the top of your shoulders, looking down towards your belly, and try to flatten the belly towards the spine. One more breath here. And then on the next inhale, release the hands, and exhale, you're bringing your back down towards the floor. Hug the knees to the chest. Rotate the knees counterclockwise. And then what we're going to do now, we're going to release the abdominals, okay? So what you're going to do, you're going to bring your knees as wide as the shoulders. You're bringing your arms on the inside of the knees, grabbing hold of the feet, bringing your feet up towards the ceiling. Your bum is lifting off the floor, and you're really releasing the abdominals and releasing the lower back. So you're bringing the feet so that your feet could be standing on the ceiling, okay? The arms are on the inside of the knees. The knees are as wide as your shoulders. And then very gently release the feet, bring the knees together, and start rocking back and forward until you're coming up into a seated position onto the mat. Okay, so if you want to continue working on the core muscles, then you're going to attempt to do a headstand. I'm going to show you the headstand first, because there's different stages of it. But if you really feel like you don't want to attempt it, then go ahead and do the shoulder stand if you know how to do it, okay? The key of a headstand is the position of the arms. So your elbows are directly underneath the shoulders, and you're trying to squeeze the elbows together so that the elbows don't come out to the side. That way, when you're placing your head in your hands, then the weight is not on the head, it's more on the shoulders and the arms, okay? You're interlacing the fingers, and you're placing the top of your head in front of the hands, okay? As you're squeezing the elbows together, you're coming up and you're trying to bring your back perpendicular to the floor. So you need to walk your knees towards you until you can lift the legs off the floor. Okay? This as far as you can do, because it really works on the core muscle as you're doing that. If you're really not feeling like you can do this, then as you're here, you can bring your foot out, and then at this point, at some point, you're gonna be in this position where you're looking for the wall, and then you can come down, and then you can do it on with the other leg, okay? That's as far as you want to go, because you want to get familiar with the core muscles that is gonna be able to bring you up into a full headstand, okay? Once you've done that, you're coming into child pose with the arms along the body, and you're staying there for a minute. Now we're gonna do the shoulder stand. So, you're rolling yourself onto your back. If you don't feel like you wanna do the shoulder stand today, you just bring your legs on the wall and you're letting yourself relax. Also, if you're on your menstrual cycle, you want to just have your legs against the wall. If you've got any problems with the high blood pressure or high blood pressure of the eyes, legs against the wall, okay? Roll yourself onto your back, bring your legs over your head. If they touch the floor, shuffle to the top of your shoulder and then support your lower back. If they don't touch the floor, you start supporting your lower back straight away. Walk your hands up the back as you're bringing your legs up. Walking your hands up so that you want to be as upright as possible. And then hips towards you, legs away from you, pointing the toes up. Weight is on the arms, not on the neck. 10 breaths here. Pushing your hips up so you want to be as upright as you can. And then once you've done your 10 breaths, you're bringing your legs over your head. If you're not touching the floor, keep on supporting your lower back. If they're touching the floor, you can interlace the fingers behind your back. Legs straight to start with the top of the feet onto the floor. And then you're bending the knees, so the knees are over your forehead or around the ears. 2 breaths here, and then brace yourself with your hands and bring your back down onto the floor. And then once you've done the shoulder stand, you're coming into fish pose. We're coming into the fish pose. So you're pointing the toes away from you. You're on your forearms. The hands are on the mat. You're starting to walk the elbows towards the feet until you can puff up the chest and release the top of the head onto the floor. Puffing up the chest, releasing the neck. And then to come out of the pose, you're tucking your chin under, releasing your body back down onto the floor. And then everybody just come into Shavasana or the corpse pose. So we're gonna do the last few minutes of relaxation and a bit of meditation. So start by lying onto the mat, feet as wide as the mat, flopping the feet to the sides. Tilt your pelvis under so as much as your lower back is touching the floor. Roll your shoulders away from you, opening the arms slightly to the sides, palms facing up towards the ceiling. Tucking your chin under so your neck is nice and long. Now, if you're feeling uncomfortable on the lower back, you can bend the knees so that your feet are on the mat as wide as the mat and you're supporting the knees with each other. You can also use a block or a pillow underneath your head if you're feeling uncomfortable onto your neck, okay? I'm gonna come up into a seated position as I'm talking you through the meditation. So start focusing your attention onto the feet. Relax your feet. Relax your ankles. Relax your calves. Relax your shins. Relax your knee joints. Relax the back of the thighs. Relax the front of the thighs. Coming all the way into your hip joint. Relaxing the hip joint. and coming across the glutes, relaxing the buttocks, relaxing the hips. Once you get into the middle of your glutes, you're coming under and over your reproductive organs into the pelvic area, relaxing the pelvic area. And now you're relaxing your lower abdomen, so the area between the pelvis and the belly button, and relax your upper abdomen, so the area between the belly button and the rib cage. And now start relaxing the rib cage in the front, coming all the way up into your chest bone, your chest and your breast, all the way up to the top of your shoulders. And now we're going to relax the back, starting from the top of the shoulders, relaxing the space in between the shoulder blades, relaxing the shoulder blades. Relax the middle of your back and relax your lower back. And now from the lower back, right by the spine, you're coming round into the waist, all the way around into the abdomen. So this is the area that we've been working on today. So we're just going to spend a couple of seconds here. Now imagine a line that connects your chest bone to your pelvis, that runs up along the belly button. From there, you're coming out either side of the abdomen into the waist and into the lower back. As you're starting to relax into this area, just start to notice if there's any area around the here that feels uncomfortable as you're lying down. Just remember that with this area, if you've got quite a lot of uncomfortable feeling on your lower back, most likely the problem comes from the front, okay? So it's counterintuitive, but you need to work the opposite side. But this is just a good way of finding out where it is that you have to work. And now you're coming into the hip joints again, and you're traveling up the sides of the body all the way up into your armpits. Relaxing your armpits, and now we're going to relax the shoulder joint. Starting from the armpit, the front of the shoulder, the top of the shoulder, and the back of the shoulder joint. Now relax your upper arms. Relax your elbows, relax your forearms, relax your wrists, and relax your hands. And now coming back and bringing your attention to the top of the shoulders, relax the back of the neck, relax the front of the neck. Relax your chin, relax your lower jaw, relax your mouth, relax your upper lip, relax your nose area, and relax your cheeks all the way from the sides of the nose across the cheeks into the ears. Relaxing the ears, relaxing your eye sockets, relax your temples, relax your forehead, relax the scalp and the whole of the head. Feeling as though the body is starting to really relax and melting into the mat. Now for the second time, I want you to bring your attention back into the lower back and the abdominal area, the core muscle area that we've been working on. So basically the core muscles also work from the rib cage, and the whole purpose is to keep this whole area sort of nice and tight. Just scan this area. Start from the rib cage, coming down into the pelvis, going round the whole of the abdominals into the waist and into the lower back. And just feel this area and how it feels for you. If it is uncomfortable, just bring your breath into the uncomfortable area and just allow it to relax. Breathing nice and long breaths into this whole area of the core that we've really worked out today, allowing it to relax, but at the same time starting to become more familiar with your body. So you're starting to get to know what it is that is feeling uncomfortable, where are your weaknesses, where is the area where you need to really work on. Now very gently start bringing your attention to the rest of the body by taking a deep breath in through your nose and sighing out through the mouth, become more aware of the whole of your body. Take a deep breath in through your nose And as you sigh out through the mouth, start wiggling your toes. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you sigh out through the mouth, start wiggling your fingers. And now you can bring your arms over your head, bring your legs together. First, really tense up the body and then relax it. Start hugging one knee at a time towards the chest. Keeping your knees hugged there for a breath or two. And then rolling yourself onto the right side. Stay here for a breath or two, and then pushing yourself up with your left arm, come up into a cross-legged position onto the mat. Bring your hands together in front of your chest, close your eyes. Just make a mental note of where your mind was as you were practicing. Did you manage to focus on the breath and focus on the core muscles the whole of the class? So that's what you're aiming for. You're aiming to keep your mind and the body focused on the moment. So it's almost like you've done an hour of walking meditation. Thank you for practicing today. Namaste.